All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Healy for Beginners and Beyond for Thursday, May 5th, 2022. I'm your host for today, Jake Barron, Head of Operations for the Americas, and we may or may not have a few co-hosts join us later. Freddie Perez normally helps us out on this call, and he's chasing or escaping storms and power outages, so we'll see if we hear from him later. And Ken Close may be joining us as well on this call as well to provide a little input on all the little topics that we're talking about today. And we also have, I believe we have Miguel from our tech support team helping out in the chat today. If he's not on this already, he will be there soon. So you'll find them under Healy Tech Support in the chat. And for those of you that have not been on a Healy for Beginners and Beyond call before, it's a little bit different than Tech Tip Tuesday, which is typically just an open Q&A based call. This one, we have an agenda we kind of put out in advance. We typically just follow that agenda. If there's time to answer some questions along the way as we go, we will. But for the most part, these are kind of the topics that we want to share with you today. So we're not going to today, we typically do a kind of a 10-minute long unboxing. We're not going to do that today. There's a lot of very important things I know everyone's waiting to hear about. So we're just going to show one of the key differences that started over the last month or two with the new metal clip. We've had some people ask about how do you attach a lanyard to this one? Because the old one came with a little lanyard attachment. So we are actually going to show that on today's call. And then we're going to go right into not how to download the apps, but how to check if there's an update available. Because I know I mentioned on yesterday's What's Up Wednesday that there's a new version of the HealAdvisor app, version 1.8.3 that was released on Monday. We're going to show when you go to your app store, how you will know if there is an update available, how you check that in the app. And then we're going to go right into the HealAdvisor deep dive today. We're going to do a little bit on search as well. We've covered that on a few of our prior calls, but there's actually been some changes over the last few updates that we have not covered yet regarding how the IMF calendar works, how you add new topics and search and everything like that. And then I know a lot of you are on this call specifically to hear about nitrile cycle, so we will definitely cover that. Today is the start date for, I think, pretty much every one of us on the call. So very excited about that later today. But yeah, we're going to show you how that works within the HealAdvisor app, some of the key things to look out for. And then if we have time, we probably won't, but we'll kind of do a quick overview at the end of some of the Healy resources available and maybe a little bit of Q&A as well if there is time. But so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick, if I can do that. Okay, so first thing, again, as I mentioned, we're not going to go into a full unboxing, but for those of you that have received a Healy recently, and there's tens of thousands of you around the world that have done since we switched to the metal clip, but it's a little bit different than the one we've had in the past. So on the back here, you kind of see it's a little bit sleeker. It doesn't stick out as much. And then the clip itself is made out of metal, and it's not replaceable. So this is actually molded into the actual casing of the Healy. So it's super secure. I mean, definitely would have to put this through some serious abuse in order to break, damage, bend this type of clip here. So it is a big improvement, but a lot of people have asked since they got this, well, how do I put the lanyard attachment on? Or where is the lanyard attachment for it? Because there actually is not one for this metal clip, but you notice there is a hole in the top of the clip that's already built in there. And you might at first glance say, well, how am I going to get a lanyard on that? But pretty much any lanyard attachment, like this is one that we used at our road shows throughout last summer. And this is a pretty standard lanyard attachment clip at the end of here. And you'll see at the very top, there's a little hole right here. And then there's, of course, the hole in the actual clip. This little hole at the top, there's nothing that you do with that related to the actual lanyard. That doesn't actually go through. So you don't weave anything through that. The best way to put a lanyard attachment on here is to go from the side. So if you take, actually, I'll show this here in a minute. Let me take this off. But if you just take the lanyard and then kind of just go right on the side here and then weave this through, and it comes up right through that hole in the middle. So it's really simple. And, you know, it's just, you have to have one that's some of the lanyard attachments, depending on which one you have, are kind of thick, but this one here, as I mentioned, is a pretty standard connection. And there's also ones that are even easier to take on and off. They have a little bit of like a spring-loaded clip, and they're a little bit thinner as well. Those work great for this too. I know, Terry. Oh, I see Freddie's here underneath Terry's name today. But yeah, we were talking with Terry on one of our calls a week ago about the new version with the gold clip. Some of the people earned a special edition that was signed by Marcus, and there's a gold clip, and she was worried about getting the lanyard on there, and of course not wanting to scratch anything to do with that gold clip, because it's a one-of-a-kind thing. So we kind of went through, the ones with the spring are a little bit easier to control when you're kind of looping it through there. But just know that there is a way to attach a lanyard to the ones with the metal clip. And if for some reason you're having difficulty with this one, you see earlier, I had a little bit of it's like just a little, almost like a key loop on the end. You could always put something like this on if your lanyard attachment is kind of big and won't fit through there, put something thin like this. I think a lot of us have a bunch of these just sitting around in a drawer in our house. Just attach that to your lanyard clip, and then you can just use this little piece to then attach to your Healy. It's got a little bit more room to kind of maneuver through there. But either way, whichever way works for you. And then a lot of people, you don't even necessarily need a lanyard or a lanyard attachment. You can just use a string or a ribbon or anything like that as well. So there's lots of options for this, even though there's not a specific lanyard attachment as well. You no longer have to switch between a clip and a lanyard attachment. You kind of use them both at the same time. So hope that's helpful for any of you that were concerned about being able to use a lanyard going forward. So Freddie, are you there and able to speak?
I am. Yeah, I'm on Terry's cell phone. Boy, this has been a very interesting, challenging tech day over here, but I'm here. Yes.
Great. Glad you could join us. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Okay, so now we're going to go into the next segment. We're going to show you real quick how you check for updates in for really any of your apps. So I'm going to share the screen on my phone here, and then we're going to go right into this. Go real quick. Okay, here we go. Okay, so depending on which device you have, I'm going to show you how this looks on an iPhone today. But of course, if you have an Android, you go to the Google Play Store. But we're going to go right into the App Store here. Let me get rid of my Zoom on my screen here. So if you're going to go here and say, okay, Jake told me on one of the calls there's an update for the HealAdvisor app. You can go directly to the App Store, click search, and then just type in HealAdvisor, come up right here. And then you'll see, when you see the app, next to it, it says open. That means that I currently have the most recent version that is available. If the other day on Monday, when this new version was released, I went to the App Store, and instead of open to the right of the HealAdvisor, it said update. So that meant that, okay, there is a new version available, and I can click update. It'll load that new version onto my phone. But if you click actually within the app itself, you'll see here version, it says underneath the what's new, it says version 1.8.3, which is the one that I mentioned earlier. And to the right, you'll see it says 3 days ago. So as I mentioned on Monday, this new version was released. And if you ever want to know kind of the history, if you've never done this before, just click version history, and you'll see over time how long ago each of these versions was released and what that update contained. And you'll see here for this first one, the most recent one from Monday, numerous improvements to the natural cycle module, and it fixed a couple other minor issues. So natural cycle starts today. Again, there was a few improvements we wanted to have in place before everyone starts using natural cycle. So that was the reason for this particular update. And then, this is for HealAdvisor, but any of the apps that you want. So if you want to go to HealAdvisor, you can see here, 4 weeks ago was the last time we had an update, and that was version 1.20.4. And then again, same thing. You can see kind of the history of what the update was and what it fixed or what the improvement was, the new feature, that kind of stuff. So real simple. And then we're going to go actually right into HealAdvisor now. I'm going to show you where you can actually view in HealAdvisor what version that you have. So if you haven't been in HealAdvisor in a while, I know a lot of people started using this when Search, we had that promo for Search available for a one-time fee last summer. We had, I think, 30 or 40,000 people around the world buy Search in a period of a week, to the point that it actually crashed the store. But a lot of people used it for, you may have logged in at first, kind of check things out, and maybe you're not using it on a regular basis. So it looks a little bit different now. When you click next, you're actually syncing your cloud data, which wasn't the case before. That step wasn't really in there. But for me, for those of you that don't have all the subscriptions, your screen will look a little bit different than mine. I have all the subscriptions. So I have the animal module, bioenergetic vitalization, digital nutrition, HealAdvisor Search, and then you'll see natural cycle at the bottom down there. But before we get into Search and natural cycle, just want to show you real quick in the settings. If you go that, and then you'll see, scroll down here where it says app version, and you'll see it is the most recent version, 1.8.3. So if you have yours and it might say 1.8.1, which means you don't have the newest version, you can go to the App Store, Google Play Store, whatever, and check for the most recent version that is available there. And you'll see also now it shows the last time that this was synced. So this whole settings page looks quite a bit different than it did just 4 to 6 weeks ago. So definitely check that out. But we're going to go straight into Search. We're going to keep things moving pretty fast today. Lots to cover, but we're going to go back to that home screen, and you'll see again, if you don't have all these other subscriptions, they won't show up there. It'll be a little bit less to scroll through, but we're going to go right into HealAdvisor Search. And so for those of you that haven't used Search before or haven't used it in a while, there's two separate sections. One of them is an open search, which is where you can kind of type in whatever you want, and then it'll put forward a list of suggestions, suggested programs. And then those programs you can add to a program pool, is what it's called, on your actual device. It's kind of like saving your favorites on a web browser, that kind of thing. You can go back to them and reference them as well. So we're going to start with the open search, and then we're going to go right into sort of the guided search, as I like to call it, which is the ones where you can actually create a calendar of 3 different programs per day, and it kind of shows you a morning, an afternoon, and an evening program as well. So again, we're going to go right into here. There's a little notice that pops up. Just read through that before you use it for the first time. Click OK. And then here, this is where the main screen comes up, and you'll see if you don't have some of these other programs, you might not see all these sections that you can check. But all IMF programs, that's not just, this question has come up on our prior calls. That doesn't mean something in addition to the programs that you have. So all this does is check all the boxes for you. So it's kind of just an easy way of, instead of doing them all at once. But if you're looking for just Healy IMF programs, if you don't have digital nutrition, of course, you wouldn't check that kind of thing. But the first time that you actually use that, it's going to ask you to pick all the individual programs that you have on your device. So this was something that I already set up earlier. I actually deleted this fully and did a full reinstall a couple of days ago, just to kind of show you on natural cycle how it starts. But I went back in and added some things already through Search. But if you want to customize what's sort of displayed for your edition, we're just going to go right back into the settings. And if you go to the IMF treatment section, you'll see a section at the very top that says your Healy edition. And this is where you can pick, okay, say I don't have beauty, I don't have biogenic harmony, whatever the case may be, you can kind of go through here and do all of that. If you have deep cycle, but not deep cycle H, that kind of thing, it's very easy to kind of just customize the ones that you have. And then when you're done, you just click save settings, and then you can kind of go back to where we were. But the first time you use it, that will pop up. It'll force you to check the ones that you have. But since I've already done it, if things have changed, if you're wanting to specific programs for a different edition, you can kind of go through that as well. So, but we're going to go right back to where we were. And then we're going to we're going to check DNA and bioenergetic as well. And then we're just going to start typing here. And so let's just type in, let's just go with energy. Energy is always a big topic, and we'll click body energy here. So this is showing as far as what's relevant to that particular topic. And of course, it would make sense that some of the results that would come back energy for body energy, yes. That one you'll see here, it shows that it's in the digital nutritions module. There's an energy program here in the gold cycle, which is of course, one of the more popular programs that people run. Care, performance, stamina, energetic. You see, of course, it makes sense that these type of programs would be recommended for somebody that's specified body energy. Certainly, I'll go along with that. And you'll see to the right of each of the programs, there's a star. And I've went through here already, and you see if the star is filled in, the sort of blue filling in the middle there, that means that that one's already saved to my program pool. So you can check and uncheck. So I want to add this top one in DNA. You click that, at the bottom, you'll see it says this program was added to the program pool. You can just click OK. If you want to remove it, you do the same thing. Just click it again. It takes it deselects that particular program. Click OK. And you can do this. You can type in whatever you want. There might not always be a result, and it'll tell you if there isn't. But let's just, let's just type in headaches. Let's see here. And you'll see again, what programs would you think would come up if you are looking to, help with maybe sort of a headache condition? Head, release, relief, head, stress, all things, of course, related to stress, tension, that kind of thing. So, of course, these all make sense. And you'll see, again, I've already highlighted some of these to put into my program pool. So, okay, where is that particular program pool? You'll see at the bottom, the second icon from the left, there's a programs icon. If you click that, it's going to take us to the My Program section. And then it came to the calendar section, which we're going to show here in a little bit, but we're going to go back to program pool. So these are all programs that at one point in time, I've gone through to each of those, typed in certain topics, whatever, added into my program pool. And again, I like to refer this to as a kind of the bookmarks for your Healy. These aren't going to run automatically. So just because you add them to your program pool doesn't mean that they're going to run them every single day for you. You still have to actually actively select these programs to run. But it's kind of a good reminder. Say you had a great success with a particular program or want to go reference one again in the future, you can add it here, and then you can kind of scroll to it and say you want to run this youth program. It'll tell you a little bit about it, what the duration is, and then you can actually start the program from here. If you click Start Program, it's actually going to take you to the Healy Pink Dot app, to that particular program, wherever it is on that page. But you'll have to actually click Start for it to go. But it tells you about the program. Then you can also remove it from the program pool here. So if I click that star, same thing. And then I can do the reverse here just to kind of add it back into my program pool. So this is one of those areas where it's good to just learn by playing around with this. You can't break anything here. There's nothing to kind of be concerned about. You just go in here, search for everything, and see what you can come up with. So this is the open search section. And now we're going to kind of show you what I consider the guided search, which is in the IMF schedule. So this one, when we're going to go down here, you'll see there's a calendar at the top, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But this is one where you can pick topics. You can pick as many topics as you want, but you can only have up to 3 topics at a time on the calendar. And you see here, I have 3 selected already: learning, memory, which is together as one, connective tissue, and healthy sleep. So how did I get those topics? So that's obviously the big question here. And I'm going to go to this change topic section. And you'll see here, these were all added in yesterday. So as I mentioned, I kind of started fresh and added a bunch of new stuff into here. And you'll see when you go to add more topics. So underneath the create IMF schedule, click add more topics. And then you'll see here, you can go to a search, but we're just going to go to HealAdvisor Search. And you'll see here, this is, like I say, it's kind of like the guided search, because you can't type anything in here, but it's going to give you a whole list of topics from A to Z that you might want to add. So you'll see here that I had already added a bunch in here before, but say I want to add another one in, let's add in skin, and let's add in nails. We're heavy on the beauty today here. Let's add those. Add to schedule here, and you'll see here now at the bottom, you'll see nails and skin. It shows added on the 5th of May, 2022. So I have a good list of topics here. And I say, okay, well, I want to put together a calendar, let's say, of my top 3 topics. It doesn't have to be 3, but let's just show how it works. Actually, let's start with 1. Let's just show how it works with one particular topic. Let's just start with learning memory. Let's have it put together a calendar of just that. You just go click create IMF schedule, and it's going to do its magic here. When it comes back up, you'll see for the topics, it shows one program. It shows P1 for Thursday, then P2, P3. And what exactly does that mean? So as I've said earlier, this is kind of recommending programs to run in morning, afternoon, and evening. And then we're already, at least in Florida here, we're already past the morning time that I would normally run my programs, and we're past the afternoon. So it's saying, okay, on Thursday today, there's only one more time slot available. And it's saying that today's programs, you'll see the little P1 icon that matches up at the top here with P1 for Thursday evening. It's saying you should run Learning Acute in the evening today. And then if you actually go back to the top and click on the FR, the abbreviation for Friday, and then scroll back down again, it's going to show you the 3 programs it has on the calendar for you for Friday. So it's saying, okay, tomorrow you should run Learning Systemic in the morning, Brain in the afternoon, and Memory in the evening. And then you kind of can just keep going along, and you'll see again for Saturday, same thing. By default, it skips Sunday, and I can show you how to change that if you want to actually run programs on Sunday too. And then it just continues with this calendar, and it'll eventually loop back around. But this is how it looks if you have just one particular topic added to your HealAdvisor search. Okay, let's say I want to work on 2 things at the same time. So we're going to go to change topics. We're going to do learning, memory, and we're going to go with, let's say, healthy sleep. Okay, so now I have 2 selected. You just go to create IMF schedule, and now it's going to basically merge these 2 together. And you'll see here, again, we'll show it at the bottom. Oh, we're on Saturday here, but let me go back. So, okay, back to Thursday. So we have, again, it's saying to run that same program that we had earlier when it was just one topic, Learning Acute. But if you go now to Friday and go back down, it's saying, hey, in the morning, you should run Sleep Systemic, in the afternoon, the sleep program, and then the Learning Systemic in the evening. And then if you go to Saturday, it's saying Brain in the morning, Balanced Sleep in the afternoon, and Memory in the evening. So it loops around. Sometimes there might be, of course, with 2 programs, if there's 3 slots per day, there's going to be 2 from one and only 1 from the other, and it might reverse on that next day. But it's really very simple. Again, we can show all this. Keep going. Let's just add stress in here. Oops, I already have three selected. Create IMF schedule. Again, I really like to just play around with this. It's fun to kind of see what that schedule will look like as you go, and it's completely customizable. So let's just see what it says for Friday. We're not going to mess with Thursday here, but we'll just go straight to Friday. And it's saying, let's do a Learning Acute. Of course, that one is tied with the learning program or the learning topic that we selected. The Mental Balance Acute, that one's tied with the stress topic that we selected. And then we have the sleep program, which of course is tied with that healthy sleep topic that we selected. So it's really, very, very simple to use. And then as far as the customization goes, at the top right of the calendar, you'll see there's a little pencil icon. If you click on that, it says, what would you like to do? I said, okay, well, I want to change the application times. And this is where you can pick. Let's say on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you don't want to run any programs in the morning for whatever. Maybe you don't have time to do it. It doesn't fit with your schedule. You can uncheck Tuesday and Thursday, and let's uncheck Friday as well. And let's kind of say, okay, let's see what that looks like when I click Update IMF Program Schedule. It's going to sort of redo everything. And you'll see now, tomorrow morning, I unchecked Friday morning. So it's not going to actually recommend anything to do Friday morning because that spot's blank. And it's super customizable. Not only that, as far as the days, you can actually change the reminders as well. So this is a part that actually is different from what it was a couple months ago. If you remember a couple months ago, it would default, there would be a default message that would come up. It would say, time to run your program. It was very generic. Now you can actually customize this to say whatever you want. So if you go to, say, add reminder, you can actually type in whatever you want to be like, hey, Adria, make sure you don't forget to run your program or something like that. Whatever you want it to say. You can put that reminder for whatever you want, and it doesn't have to be even tied to a specific IMF program. So let's say you want to put in something for tomorrow at 5 p.m. You can pick you can pick logbook, revitalization, animals, but of course, logbook is this, you want to put a note basically for yourself. But IMF treatment, you can type in whatever you want. And hold on a second here, let me forget to unmute.
They'll be surprised.
Yeah,
Hold on a second here, I forgot to make sure.
Yeah.
and you, if you don't eat them all.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Okay. All right, so, all right, back to where it was. So yeah, reminders are certainly very customizable, very easy to use. Again, this is something to just play around with one of these days when you have a little bit of time. You can actually play around with this while you're running, say, a program in your Pink Dot app, because you can have this open at the same time as that and just kind of be going through one of these customizations as well. Let me see here. Let's close the reminders. Yeah, it's just really sort of fun to play with, and this isn't going to actually, the reminder isn't going to actually run the program for you. You're still going to have to physically go to the Pink Dot app to start the program as well. But it's always good to have reminders. I don't know how many times I've been at work here where it's like, normally I might run a program as soon as I get to work, but if I go straight into a meeting and forget, a lot of times it's good to have that pop-up come up and say, hey, Jake, don't forget to run your morning program. So I always like to have those reminders in place here as well. So that's a little bit about search. Freddie, do you have any, I forgot your, let me make you co-host real quick if you want to unmute. If you have anything to add to this particular topic before we move on to natural cycle.
Can you hear me okay, Jake?
It's a little bit grainy, but we can hear you a little bit.
Okay, great. So there was a question in there, and I think it was just basically wrapping up with what you were sharing. How do you delete basically and start over? How do you delete all those settings and start over?
Okay, so that is a great question. So really you would just go into, well, the schedule isn't, it's constant, it's whatever's current. There's not like multiple versions of the schedule. So if you wanted to start over, again, you go back to the change topics. We're going to go back to change topics, and we're just going to uncheck everything. So instead of doing that, okay, now if you go back to the scheduler, actually I thought, sorry here, it's a little bit difficult on my phone. Do not want to go back there. And yeah, that is an interesting question here. Let me go back. Yeah, again, I've actually never tried to completely get rid of everything, but it looks like until you add something else, that particular calendar will show up there. You can always, you turn off the reminders. That's always an option as well if you want to have that calendar in there. But let's just say, again, as before, I had 3 topics in here. Let's just put it back to 1. Let's just do nails, create schedule. So this basically just defaults to whatever you currently have in there. Yeah, I see in the chat here, Miguel mentioned that deleting it will certainly reset all the changes. You'll start fresh. You will lose everything in your program pool as well. Just keep that in mind. You won't just delete the calendar. Anything you have saved in your program pool, you'll delete. But sometimes it's good to start fresh. Maybe over the time you've added 30 programs and they're not necessarily relevant to what you're trying to work on at the particular time. So sometimes it is good to start fresh as well. So as far as the comment again here was I cannot delete the calendar. So you cannot delete it from within the app. It looks like it'll show whatever you last did there. But if you do want to delete it completely, if you delete the whole app from your phone and reinstall, that would be a fresh start for your particular, for the search program for you. So.
Yeah, Jake, I think that's what I recall as well. It always defaults at what your calendar view was last. Even when you close the app and open it, it's going to default back there. So you'll just have to go and redo your settings.
And this is really good feedback. You know, HealAdvisor is the app has actually been updated the most recently, because this is where all the subscriptions live. This is where Natural Cycle lives. So there's a lot of attention around the HealAdvisor app now. So this kind of feedback, that does seem like a good idea to be able to just delete calendar option as well. So that is something that, you know, we could include in a future update. So that kind of feedback we always welcome on these calls, because we can pass it along to the product development team. And maybe the next time that we have an update, you'll be able to have that particular feature available.
Yeah.
So
and we just had maybe a reset button for the calendar. That would be easy.
Yeah. So we're always wanting to make this more user-friendly, more functional as well. So it is certainly great. So that's a little bit about search. Again, go around, play with that, have fun. So we're going to move right in now to Natural Cycle, which is new for all of us. You know, none of us have started Natural Cycle yet. Well, I guess you could have if you kind of cheated and went ahead in advance here. But we're going to show here. We're going to get started from the beginning. I deleted mine, so I have not set the start date again. I did earlier, but we're going to go through that process now. So as if you had just purchased Natural Cycle, had it added to your HealAdvisor app, we're going to go into the very bottom here, click Calculate Start Date, and it's going to ask you, well, it's going to tell you a little bit about the importance of where you live and how this is going to actually determine the date. But I'm in the northern hemisphere here in Florida, and then it's going to ask you to pick your time zone. I am not in Minsk, so I'm actually in Eastern time zone, Florida. So we're going to scroll to there. Okay, Eastern time zone, done. And then it's going to say calculate start date. Here we go. And now this is looking at a bunch of different things. It's looking at the moon phases, and this is related to the sun, the moon, and the earth, basically, and where you live, and it's determining what your start date should be. And I think a lot of you on this call probably see this date here, May 5th, 6:57 p.m. is probably the same for you as well, for most of you on this call. And it's going to ask you at the bottom here to set a reminder. And this is, of course, very important, because the whole point of Natural Cycle is sort of getting back into that natural rhythm as well, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But you click Set Reminder, and you can pick. So part of Natural Cycle is that 30 minutes before each activation session, you're supposed to drink a cup of water. 15 minutes before, another cup of water. And then there's an 18-minute activation program that changes depending on the time of the day. Every 2 hours, it changes which organ meridian that you're going to be using. And then a glass of water immediately after. And then there's a 30-minute stabilization program as well that you run after. So you can actually pick to be reminded. So say you're really good at remembering to drink water 30 minutes before. I probably wouldn't remember that, but I'm going to keep mine checked. But if you wanted to, you can just uncheck the ones you don't need. So you don't need a reminder for that glass of water after. You can uncheck that as well. But I'm going to leave all of them checked. To me, these reminders, there's no harm in having them there, especially as we all get started with Natural Cycle. I think it's a good idea until we all get in that rhythm of how this is going to work. It's good to keep those there. So we're just going to click the set reminder at the bottom. And then you'll see here, it's like, okay, well, it starts on May 5th, 20. What do I do now? So leading up to it, if you watched any of the training videos, the Nuno Nina, What's Up Wednesday that he was on a couple of weeks ago, that was a great call. There's some really good resources that kind of explain the reason for the Natural Cycle as well. So I'm going to show those. Well, actually, yeah. I'm going to stop sharing my phone for couple minutes. I'm going to show you those resources just to make sure everyone's clear on where to go to get those. Then we'll go back to my phone. And I'm going to show you a little bit within the natural cycle. I'm actually going to skip ahead and kind of show you how things work. I'm going to go back and delete mine later today and start fresh, but we're going to go ahead and let me just stop sharing on my phone for a minute. Stop that. Okay. And then, all right, let's go back to, all right. I've got a million windows open, everybody, so bear with me. All right. Share the screen. Okay, so this is, of course, something that you are all familiar with. This is the download section of the Healy back office. And there's actually a good flyer here. It's not super in depth as far as training goes, but it's a good overview. Certainly, if you scroll down here to flyer natural cycle and click download here, this is what's going to come up. It gives you some background behind natural cycle, the reason for it. And it's kind of interesting how important it is to be in that natural rhythm. And on that call, the What's Up Wednesday call that we had with Nuno Nina, he mentioned the topic of daylight savings time came up, and his reaction was kind of funny because he's like, he hates daylight savings time because just that 1 hour gets you so much off your natural rhythm. It doesn't seem like a lot. Okay, 1 hour, what's the big deal? But I think all of us have kind of experienced it, that things are just off when you make that change. And part of natural cycle is helping you get back, not just related to daylight savings time, but everything in general, your life and how distracted everybody gets and how fast everyone's moving these days. It's so important to get back into that natural rhythm. And that's what this whole program module is designed to do. But this is a good thing. It takes 5 minutes to read through. And then of course, it has a little bit of details here about how it's calculating your date. So the good thing is that the HealAdvisor app does all this for you. So you don't need to go outside and analyze the moon and when the summer solstice is starting and all that kind of stuff. You just put in where you live, your time zone, and boom, it'll tell you when to start as well, and when the next start date is and the next start date is. And this is a very brief overview here, of course, on this flyer. For those of you that haven't already, in Healy Academy, so just academy.healy.world. I think most of you have probably been to this already. This is a very important video to watch. There's a video here called Natural Cycle. It's about 10 minutes long. I'm not going to show this whole thing here, but if you go through it, it's going to tell you the reason as well, how you pick it, how the program works, and how it kind of goes along clockwise every session. It skips to the next organ, skips to the next organ meridian as well. And you can see they're all divided into 2-hour increments, because in that 2-hour time period, that's when that organ is most active. So that's when you're trying to get back into the natural rhythm through the use of these programs that were created by Nuno Nina specifically for this new natural cycle module. So these aren't the same programs that are available in the other modules or other program groups with Healy. These are all brand new specifically for natural cycle. So that again, so the flyer is great information. This training video is great information. And then there's actually one more thing. I'm trying to get this up by later today, but the actual app module, sorry, the Healy app manual. So if you go to your back office, scroll down to manual Healy app, which is the manual for the Healy app. And then the US one, actually, there was somehow it got missed, and natural cycle is not, sorry, there is a version for the US that has natural cycle in it, but it's not the one currently uploaded. So we're working with the marketing team to get that uploaded ASAP. But for all of you that are on this call in the meantime, if you go to change the country, so log into your back office at my.healy.world, go to the tools section here, the tools, and then downloads, and then change the country. Instead of United States, click United Kingdom. This is going to show you all the documents that are available in Europe for the United Kingdom market, but it's a quick way, a workaround for now. And if you click manual Healy app, click download, you'll see that the English version of the EU manual has natural cycle in it. Ours should be either later today or tomorrow, so it will be in there soon. But just in the meantime, if you want to go take a look, you'll see here, right here, natural cycle, page 38. And then if you go all the way down to page 38, and you'll see here. So it's, again, it starts talking about the natural cycle as well. Some of the similar information from the flyer that we kind of just went through, but there's some additional details as well. And it actually shows each of the programs, the times that that particular meridian is active, and then the duration. You see each of the programs is 18 minutes. That doesn't vary from meridian to meridian, and then the frequency. Then it also has stabilization daily and stabilization solar. So there's also been, further down, there's actually quite detailed information about each of those meridians and what they do and what that means. So if you are not familiar with any of this, this is definitely important to read. There's tons of great information. This is always a great reminder of all these different things that are so important to your just the overall natural rhythm for all of us. So go definitely check this out. And again, this one is available. This is the United Kingdom EU English version, but our US one should be available in our back office soon as well. But this is, again, so we basically have 3 key resources: the flyer, we have the training video on Academy, and we have this in the Healy app manual. And yeah, for now, that's kind of what we have as far as resources go. And then we're going to yeah. All right, we're going to go back to, there was a question that came up in the chat, which I think I can get to later, about when they just reinstalled something. Okay, so we're gonna go back. Those are a couple of those key resources, and we're going to go back to my phone. Yes. Freddie, did you say something? No.
Hey, Jake,
Okay.
yeah, no, I just wanted to make mention that everyone is probably going to see when they open up the HealAdvisor Search app that they have the natural cycle. And Support was making a good comment in there. So if you purchased it, right, it should be colorized or lit up. But if you purchase it and it's still grayed out, Support puts some instructions in there, depending on your phone, to follow, so that you can go ahead and have access to it. Because again, it is a purchase app. It's not something that is automatically given to everyone.
Yep. Great. Thanks. Good point, Freddie. Thanks. So Rita had a question here, actually, that she deleted and reinstalled the app, and now Natural Cycle has a start date of 5 a.m. on May 6th. So I'm going to show here on my phone, because this actually, I think it might be a time zone issue for you on yours, because if you change your time zone to somewhere in Europe, the start date will show as 5 a.m. on the 6th. But let me just go back in here. Screen. Okay. All right, we're back here. Okay. So you see I have a start date of 5/5/2022, 6:57 p.m. So if you actually go to the top right, it's not the hamburger that Freddie likes to call, because it's not 3 lines, it's actually 3 dots at the top right. But we're going to click that, and you can actually edit your location. So let's say you haven't started this yet, or you moved, whatever. Let's move this back to let's move it back to, we'll go to Germany. Let's pretend that we're at Healy headquarters in Germany. We're going to click done, and then we're going to go calculate new start date. So we went from Eastern time zone in the US. So you'll see here, Rita, I don't know if this is your particular issue, but you'll see the start date is now May 6th at 5 a.m. now that I changed that time zone. So, oh wait, you can't see my phone? Hold on a second here. Can no one see my phone?
We're not seeing the phone.
Oh, okay, hold on a second. Let me go back to Zoom. Let me start that over. Okay.
Yeah, it's just blank, Jake.
Okay, hold on a second. I'll be back here in a minute. Okay. Stop this. Share screen.
There you go. Now it's pulling up.
All right. So you didn't see any of that part before, did you?
No, yeah, thanks.
All right, all
That
right.
was good.
All right, we're gonna go back to where we were then. So, okay. So we're gonna go back to, okay, natural cycle 5/5/2022. You'll see here 6:57 p.m. The comment here earlier about that. I'm gonna change my location to back to, we're gonna go to Germany as I mentioned, and we'll kind of just show here. Berlin, yep, there we go. Calculate new start date. So if your date you think is wrong, you'll see here, yeah, if this was me in Florida and anywhere in the lower 48 here or the US, that start date probably should not be May 6th at 5 a.m. So I would go ahead and check the location, check your time zone to make sure you selected the right one. You can always just go back to that as well to change it. So I'm going to go back. Actually went back, I didn't save that, but we're going to go back to Eastern time. Oh, too far down. Okay, well, I guess I already had it set here, 6:57. So this is what mine says. So we're basically at the very beginning. So let's just go back up. This is the main screen that most of you went to. Everyone's anxiously awaiting 6:57 p.m. today. And you'll see here, there's about 5 different events listed. As I mentioned before, you'll have a reminder for the first glass of water 30 minutes before, the second one 15 minutes before, then you'll have a reminder to actually run the activation program, which today between that 6:57 falls right in the middle of the kidney meridian. So that's the activation program for today. And then that glass of water after that 18-minute session, and then the stabilization program as well. So that, and then also as you go, if you watch the training video, which again is 10 minutes long, if you haven't watched that natural cycle video, please do so. But you'll notice in that video, after about 4 weeks is when you switch from, there's 2 stabilization programs, they're both 30 minutes long, but you switch from stabilization daily to stabilization solar after about 4 weeks. So you don't really need to kind of remember that early on because everyone's going to be doing stabilization daily at first, but this is kind of as a reminder. We should have another one of these calls in a couple of weeks to kind of regroup and recap everything. But as you're going through here, if you click on glass of water, it puts a check mark next to it. So it's okay. You're basically just checking off that you did this particular one. You do glass of water as well. When you click on kidneys meridian, it's actually going to take you to, let me see if mine's still on. I'm running a program right now, but let me see what happens when we click on this. Oh, that one had just finished. Let's see what happens if it typically takes a few seconds, but it's going to go to that particular program. So this again, 6:57 p.m. is right before that 7 p.m. cutoff. So we actually are running that program. And you'll notice that it doesn't actually have the name of the meridian listed on these. I believe that was for some sort of worldwide compliance purposes there. But this is the 5 to 7 p.m., which of course matches up with our start time for the activation program. And then it takes you here, but you actually have to click start to proceed with this particular program. But if you went back, let's say you went back here, you notice after I clicked that, it put a check mark next to that program. And then if I click glass of water, same thing. And before, I'm going to click the stabilization daily here at the bottom, but I just want you to keep in mind that when you see at the very bottom where it says skip event, so if I were to click this right now, it's actually going to take me, it's going to completely skip this start, the whole May start process. It's going to take me directly to June 21st for the summer solstice. So if you did that by accident and you can't get back, as we mentioned earlier on this call, you can just delete your HealAdvisor app and reinstall and just kind of click calculate start date again and kind of get back to where you were. That's always a way to get back there. If for some reason you skip something that you didn't want to, but just keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and click stabilization daily just to show you what happens. Again, it's going to, my Healy shut off after I did not run that program because I was done. The little auto off feature there. So we're going to go through here. And we're just going to show here. If this doesn't pop up. Okay. Well, we're not going to mess with this right now. We're going to go back to the HealAdvisor app. That's what we're trying to do here. And you'll see here that the next natural cycle session will start on 5/6/2022. So the interesting part about that is that, okay, we're starting on a Thursday, but you notice if you watch the training videos, look at the app manual, that the activation sessions are supposed to be run every Tuesday and Friday. So since the start date for us happened to fall on a Thursday, we're actually going to start though with the whole program. We do our first program, but then the next one is tomorrow's Friday. So we're going to run that program on Friday. And then the next one will be on Tuesday as well. And it's going to change. So the next one will be, instead of the 5 to 7 p.m., it's going to be the 7 to 9 p.m. And it's at the next session. The following Friday is going to be 9 to 11 and so on until you get to the point where a lot of you might be like, well, if the program pops up and it's at, let's say it's at the 1 to 3 a.m. and I'm sleeping, what exactly do I do? And of course, no one's expected to set an alarm clock to wake up at 1 to 3 in the morning to run this particular program, because that's actually will probably do more harm as far as getting you it would harm getting you back on your natural rhythm if you're waking up in the middle of the night to do these kind of things. So if you watch some of the videos as well, it just says to run the next program in that line of when you are awake during your waking hours. So, and then you can always also skip a session as well. That is an option too. So once you do get started, you'll see that you can actually go through and skip. So this one's not going to come back up here, but I'm just going to show you here. Let's just go back here and you'll see here, session completed. Next one will start on 5/6. And again, you can edit the reminders here as well throughout as you go. There's certainly ways to modify that. And then I'm just curious here. I'm going to do an edit location and to see what happens here if I change this. Let's just change this to somewhere away, far away, and see what happens if after we've started. This is something that could come up if you're. Let's go to Perth. Let's go over to Australia. That's the southern hemisphere, and let's see what happens here. Okay, so it's saying set reminder. Okay. So it's basically, this part is basically starting over with that. So we're going to do that. And then we're back to this. So yeah, we can do certainly all these as well. And then there is the ability within here to actually skip from session to session. So if for whatever reason you weren't able to do that after you've started, you can actually skip to the next session and it'll show you each of the upcoming ones. So really, as of right now, there's not a way to go back to the prior session. So, but you can always delete, reinstall, and kind of skip back ahead to where you were. So this is one of those things where we, it is new. I'm not an expert on this yet. I just know from kind of playing around with this app for a little bit, but as we go, if questions come up, feel free to put them in the chat here or put them in the chat on What's Up Wednesday or Tech Tip Tuesday. And we'll be sure to get as many answered as we can, because I know a lot of questions are going to come up as we move through this as well. So let's see.
Hey, Jake.
Yeah.
There was a lot of folks having troubles logging into the cloud or logging into their advisor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So some of the things with the update or upgrade has locked a few accounts out. So I've been just recommending people put in a customer service ticket so that can be rectified on their end. So I'm seeing some people in the chat talk about that, like they're not able to log in even to this advisor. That's assigned and attached to the same login credentials. So we want to make sure that people are aware that they're going to need customer service to actually interface with that.
Okay. Yeah, good point. Yeah, our team is definitely working to get everyone that may have had a login issue back up and running ASAP. So if you are having an issue, we'd be happy to help you out. But the issue that was causing this was resolved, and throughout the day today, the vast majority of people were able to just log in again as well. And there was a question here about, after the stabilization daily, do you click on Start Activation Program? So that is actually the Start Activation. Well, let's just click on Start Activation Program. So this, I don't think I have mine. Well, I do have it on, but okay. Let's see what this should just take you straight to. Well, I guess since I'm disconnected in the middle of this, but it does take you to that particular program. So what you're going to want to do is you run that program, and after you run the activation program, you're going to drink that glass of water and then run the stabilization daily program right after. And that one's 30 minutes. So water, 18-minute program, water, 30-minute stabilization program. And that's every Tuesday and Thursday. That's what you're doing. The time of the day is going to vary depending on where we are, of course, on that sort of the meridian chart there. But it's pretty easy to follow along. And yeah, we're here to help, and we have, none of us have started the natural cycle yet either. So we're all doing this together for the first time. We haven't tried it out in advance. So we're happy to provide as much support as we need to as we go, to make sure everyone's having a great experience, and we can answer everyone's questions as well. So. Ken, anything to add here, or Freddie?
Well, sorry, I'm in a very noisy airport, but
Okay.
I'm traveling back today. But there's questions about daylight savings time and some of those things. And that's valid information or valid questions. But remember that the system, the advisor app is operating from your smartphone, which already is linked to the time that your repeater from your device is linked to. So daylight savings time, standard time, whatever it is still going to be, in with this start date and interfacing with the system. It's already updated. So, so you just kind of go by what the time is. What is the time right now? And Nuno kind of mentioned some of that too in our training.
He did mention that, and we can confirm, of course, with the product development team. But they have daylight savings time in Germany too, and I'm from what I understand, that was all factored into how this is programmed. So.
Yeah, correct. It's part of the equation. So it's I would just go by what the time is on your phone and what it's being displayed in the advisor, and you'll be fine. Okay.
So another question just came in from Catherine. So you don't start with the activation program. You always start with water. Water is the start for all of this every single day. So it's the glass of water 30 minutes before, glass of water 15 minutes before, then you start the activation program. So that you'll notice on my screen here earlier, it said start activation program. Now that we've actually clicked that activation program, which was the large intestine meridian that was showing here, you'll see there's a check mark next to it. And now that button says start stabilization program. So now that button, now that we've run the activation, the next time that button is now to start the stabilization program, which is what it'll take you back to the Pink Dot app and start the stabilization program. So it's water, water, activation, water, stabilization. We should create some sort of like song or something out of this. I don't know, but we'll see it. We'll see as we go. But yeah, so this is kind of all I have. I would share more, but I don't have anything else to go off yet. But I know everyone's going to be looking forward to starting this later today. I sure am, and we'll help out as we go. And we're all on this natural cycle journey together. So, all right. Well, let's see. That's it. Oh, quick reminder. I'm going to put, actually, I'll stop sharing on my phone and then. Oh, actually, well, yeah, let me stop. So if for some reason, when you click the start activation program or start stabilization program, and it doesn't go to your Pink Dot app correctly, sometimes there's issues if it's not on first, or if it wasn't on, then you try to do it and you can't connect. Just open up your Pink Dot app the way you normally would, scroll down to natural cycle, then you can go either to the programs that are by the 2-hour windows, or you can go to the stabilization section and start it from there. So you don't have to start it from the natural cycle module within HealAdvisor. That's just kind of to check the mark next to that program. So it's not tied to being able to move to the next session if you started it from there or not. You can do it directly from.
Keep in mind the same principles apply as any other time you're going to open the Pink Dot app. The Healy needs to be turned on first, whether the advisor is commanding the Pink Dot app to open or not. The Healy hardware needs to be turned on first, and then allowing the command to come through. So, but like Jake said, if you guys have problems, you just can go directly to the Pink Dot app and use the proper sequence. Turn Healy on first, then open the app, then choose the program. It just eliminates a lot of, having to restart and hard close the app and all that.
Yep, good point. Okay, and just before we close here, I just want to show you, for those of you that are new on this call or haven't heard yet, this is our Healy World Americas page on YouTube. So the recording of today's call, I know a lot of people wanted to get more information on natural cycle and weren't able to make today's call, but the recording will be available tomorrow. Should be by tomorrow afternoon time on our Healy World Americas page. You can get to it by going to HealyAmericas.com. We'll take you directly to our YouTube page here. And then you'll see on the front, this will be posted in the Healy for Beginners and Beyond playlist. It'll show up. This is the ones that are showing on the main screen here are always the newest ones. You'll see What's Up Wednesday from yesterday, Tech Tip Tuesday from Tuesday are on here. So it'll pop up here. If you haven't subscribed yet to this page, please do so. I'm already subscribed, but if you don't, you'll see a subscribe button on the right here, and click the reminder bell next to it as well, so you get a notification anytime we add a new video to this page. But if you, for some reason, don't see it on this page, you can click on playlist. And then if you go to Healy for Beginners and Beyond, it will be available as the May 5th, 2022 recording here. And we'll put a note on there regarding natural cycle. So this is a great resource. If you haven't been to this yet, definitely share this with people on your team. We have tons of information, and you'll see on all of these calls, everything is hyperlinked and indexed. So let's just look at, say, Tech Tip Tuesday from this week. Let's click on that call. Oop, I didn't want to do that. Well, and if you click on show more for all of our calls, we go through and itemize exactly what the question was. So if you're looking for a specific issue, help with a specific issue, you can go here. How do I reset my password? So slow connections with 3G or cellular. Every particular topic is itemized here in detail. And if you click on the actual hyperlink, it'll take you to that spot in that video where we talk about that particular issue. So if you wanted somebody in your group needs help with a particular issue, you can actually just right click on this, click copy link address, send them that link. And then when they open it, it'll go right to that question that we were answering on our call. So this is really is a great resource for everybody. And you can actually search within our page. So if you want to just go to our Healy World Americas page and then click on the little magnifying glass here and search, it'll search within just, so instead of going to Google and searching for something or going to YouTube and searching with something, you can search just within our Healy World Americas channel as well and see if there's any topics that that we may have covered that you might need help with on this call as well. So yeah, that is it for me today. I can't believe that was an hour and 8 minutes, but like I said, we had a lot to cover today. But let me stop sharing this. And yeah, thank you everyone. Again, look for this recording tomorrow, share it with everyone on your team if they're looking for assistance with natural cycle, and really just good luck and have fun with the start of natural cycle. This is a big day in Healy. It's very exciting. So thank you everyone for joining on this call, and be sure to join us next week on Tech Tip Tuesday, and we'll be sure to announce when we're going to have another one of these Healy for Beginners and Beyond. We always make those announcements typically on Tech Tip Tuesday and What's Up Wednesday. So thank you everyone. I appreciate you all joining us. Thanks for the help, Ken and Freddie and Terry. And I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll unmute the lines for everybody.